There's a New Yorker by the name of Kalief Browder, and a few years back when he was 16 years old and he was a sophomore in high school, he was walking home from a party in the Bronx when he was arrested on a tip that he robbed someone 3 weeks earlier. Now, that seems incredibly random, but this is how the story went down. He was hauled off to Rikers Island and never scheduled for a trial. So again, 16-year-old walking home after a party on a random tip, taken off the street because he supposedly maybe robbed somebody 3 weeks earlier, hauled off to Rikers, never scheduled for a trial, just held at Rikers. Quote, he spent more than 400 days in solitary confinement, was deprived of meals, and was assaulted and beaten by both officers and fellow inmates. And Browder attempted suicide at least 6 times. This story is it's like hell on earth. You can make a movie out of this. A judge offered, and then at the end of all this, finally in front of a judge offered freedom in exchange for a guilty plea. And then he threatened that he could face 15 years in jail if convicted. Now, this blew my mind, but Kalief actually had the wherewithal and the ability and the strength and the courageousness to refuse. He said, if I say that I'm guilty and then you release me, well, I'm not guilty of anything. So I'd rather say I'm not guilty and you release me. How about that? Well, then, you won't believe this. One day, he was released with no explanation. Now, the amazing part is the reason why they actually released him is because somebody along the line in the chain of command here realized, oh my goodness, what have we done? I mean, you have a right to due process, habeas corpus, and you have a right to a speedy trial under the Constitution. But this guy wasn't charged with anything, and he was just held for years. The most blatantly illegal and unconstitutional act imaginable. This is an open and shut case to any judge, to any jury. Okay, and somebody realized, well, something's wrong here. Quick, let the kid go, and then maybe he'll, he won't think twice about it, and he'll thank us, and then that'll be that, and we can call it a day. And I mean, to be fair, there's a lot of people who probably don't know the law well enough, and would probably think, oh my God, thank goodness I'm out. I'm finally done with this. Let's just move on with our lives. Well, not Kalief Browder. Kalief is very, very smart individual here, and deserves so much credit for this, because he's now 20 years old. Of course, he had 3 years of his life absolutely wasted by the system taking advantage of him, and now he's suing the city and several agencies. But seriously, think about this story, man. The United States, the whole idea of the United States of America is that you're not supposed to have a government that is authoritarian. You're not supposed to have a government that is a dictatorship. We are not a nation of men, we are a nation of laws. We have the Constitution, and we have in-depth law books that really go into all the ins and outs, what's allowed, what's not allowed, here are the different degrees of the things that are right and wrong, et cetera, et cetera. But we have a system, again, this is a story where it's like the U.S. is acting like a third world dictatorship where the cops do whatever they want and there's no accountability whatsoever and nobody stops and thinks for a second, well, maybe we got the wrong guy, or maybe he deserves a trial, or maybe we're doing something wrong. How can you put somebody in Rikers for years without giving them a trial? And we are going to lecture other countries in the world about freedom. We are going to lecture them about rule of law. How about we get our own house in order first before we go around using our military to invade all these different places and try to push a certain ideology and belief system on them? Because we got plenty of problems at home to fix, as is evidence of this, and I hope Kalief Browder wins his suit, and I hope that he gets justice done in this, whatever it may be.